that works. Okay, hey, positive lifers, how's it going? Happy Friday, all that kind of crack. Hope you're having a good week. Nice out there today. And today I'm with Siobhan Guthrie, who's kind of an old buddy of mine, I suppose. I used to know her from the Mind, Body, Spirit shows, and you were always there doing with your table out, doing your kinesiology demonstrations. Siobhan, you founded the systematic kinesiology in Ireland, and you call it Balanced Health. That's your website, balancedhealth.ie, and you run courses all around the country. So before we get into all of that kind of stuff, I just wanted to ask you for your own personal story about the impact kinesiology had on your life that actually led you to set all this up. What happened?
So I'd emigrated in the 80s, and I came home, and I'd already learned reflexology. I'd been living in London, and I knew when I was learning it that it was very interesting to see that there was areas of the body that could be impacted by something that you did on the body. And so when I came home, gosh, 1994, so 1995, I discovered systematic kinesiology when my aunt, who lived in Belfast, booked herself an appointment. I could watch, and I was curious enough. It was a bit odd, but I bought a couple of books in Eason's on I think O'Connell Street, and was intrigued. And as is the time, 1995, I wrote away to the association in the UK, and Brian Butler was actually coming over to Ireland to launch systematic kinesiology in Ireland, and I was one of his first students. And there was another woman called Siobhan. She kind of started it off. She had been trained by Brian in London, and so under their tutelage, I started kinesiology. And then Siobhan Barnes died, and I took over. She had cancer, so I took over, and really a fledgling organization. But in 2000, then I set up the school and the association. Don't run the association now. I hand it over to graduates and peers. But yeah, very, very interesting therapy to be involved in. And been doing it for a long time.
My favorite thing, Siobhan, about the therapy is that you're asking the body. And when you're receiving kinesiology, you can feel your body answering the questions. And I love that my mind is not answering the questions, because my mind has all different agendas and kind of misinformation. So the body is just tells the truth on the button. The hand, you feel your arm go weak, you feel that response. And I just there's a few different types of kinesiology. So just explain to people the difference between what you do, systematic, and the traditional one, which is applied. That's the traditional one. What's the main difference?
There's not a huge amount of difference between systematic and applied. But the original founders of kinesiology, of applied kinesiology, are chiropractors. And so you have to be a chiropractor, or in some countries you can be a acupuncturist, you can be a dentist. Like there needs to be some sort of formal and even medical training to a certain extent. Whereas way back at the beginning, there was a split between, people should be able to know how to reduce their stress, learn about these amazing reflexes on the body that can change the lymphatic system, change the blood supply, access the information, as you say. And that was called Touch for Health. And so I suppose systematic kinesiology kind of sits in between Touch for Health and applied kinesiology. So it's for lay people, and it's for, and I suppose applied kinesiology is a copyrighted name now. So you can't really use that unless you are doing AK. But over about 20 years, Dr. Sheldon Deal, he was one of the original founders of AK. He used to come to London to present the latest research. And so it hasn't stood still. There's amazing techniques that we can do that help to, as you say, tap into the body's innate wisdom. You know, when you're muscle testing, that's how we, I suppose, how we do kinesiology is through a system of muscle testing. But I want to kind of point out that, like, there's lots of ways in which we know that what we think about and what the body is feeling are connected. So I'm sure you, at some stage in your life, Paul, that you have been embarrassed. And what did you do? Your
Never
face
happened to me.
your face or even your body blushes. You see, sometimes you see the real reaction. So we know that the body and the mind are connected, and how we feel is often connected to what we're thinking about. And when we muscle test, then we can access that information by testing. Each muscle is related to a different area of the body through, I mean, I'm sure you've all felt as well at some stage tightness in your shoulders, or a muscle that doesn't feel quite connected. If you do any sports or weights and you go, I know what I'm supposed to be lifting, but I can't feel, that muscle's not engaging. Somewhere the mind and the muscle connection has kind of broken down, maybe from lack of use. And so kinesiology looks at the muscles, tests them, and sees how are they functioning. And when they are able to resist some pressure, some stress, we consider the muscle to be strong. It's not quite a good really answer or to call it strong and weak muscles, but they're either inhibited or they're functioning with a little bit of stress. And when they are unable to resist the pressure, then we can look at, well, is it associated with a stress, an emotional stress? Is it associated with a food that you're eating? Is it associated with a structural imbalance? So it gives the practitioner lots of options when you're presented with a client who goes, I've got digestive problems. Is it a food sensitivity? Is it a nutritional deficiency, or even a deficiency of HCl, breaking down the food in your stomach? Or is it that our stress response is being triggered by a current stress, or a past stress, something that is on your mind a lot? So if we're triggering our stress response, it shuts down our digestive system. So it just gives the practitioner, we're not biased in only one area. We're looking at, emotions, we're looking at the structure, we're looking at the physical body, and we're looking at the energy, the acupuncture system as well. And so, regardless of what you come to a systematic kinesiologist for, it's not just about, oh, will this supplement help me? Well, maybe, but we're going to ask your body. You're going to, not in a verbal way, but in terms of like assess. I suppose a bit like an NCT on your car. It's like, well, let's go and investigate. Let's put our detective hat on and see what's going on with the system. And then your body will, because your body is the expert. And with kinesiology, you're learning how to interpret the results of the test.
It's a beautiful explanation. Thank you, Siobhan. So I really understand it now. It sounds like a really complete form of healing. It seems to have every I dotted. It seems to really cover everything.
It's
very complete.
Something that's kind of interesting, because so a lot of students that come to us might have a modality in the energetic field. So whether that's acupuncture or chakras or Reiki. Then there's other practitioners who are more on the nutrition side. And, so it's like they're looking at either dietitians, nutritionists, nutritional therapists, all the different varieties of that area. You got herbalists. And they're looking for, they know that the diet is really important, but they know there's going to be an emotional element as well. We even do courses for physios where they know that, they're helping people physically, but they want to add in, say, a dietary component. They know that there's something that's affecting the function of a muscle that maybe is involved with their digestive system. And, they've got constipation or diarrhea or some sort of IBS, and they wonder, is that part of the reason that the muscles aren't working properly? And our experience is that yes, it is. And so, you know, it really is, I think, a bridge to all of the different therapies, but also a way to really find out from the body, from a client's, you know, experience and life, you know, what are they doing lifestyle wise. It's a link to that as well. So kinesiology in some ways is really a collection of different therapies, the different approaches, because kinesiology really is the muscle test and the ability to find out what's appropriate for you. Not like, here's a general guideline. No, what suits you as a person, as an individual. And that's what makes it very interesting, never boring. Every client is different. You don't know what's going, you can't really, okay, this is all the things I'm going to do with this client. I've got my routine, I've got my protocols. It's like, no, it doesn't really work, because, you know, and even when you're talking to a client, you know, you say, okay, tell me what's going on, you know, and they'll go, oh, well, this and that, whatever. And then you go, okay, great. You've given me all that information. Right, now let's find out what the body says. Sure. And then we can treat then in whatever appears at the first level, you know, on that first session. When they come back for another session, then they're now a different person, and sometimes more things will show. It's like peeling the layers of an onion.
Peeling the layers away, yeah. And you said, you described it there as detective work, you know, it's kind of like a bit of a Sherlock Holmes vibe. Each person is a different case, and that's what's so, what keeps you excited about it. I want to ask you, you're doing this since 1995, so you've had a wealth of experience. You've trained people, you saw all sorts of cases. What, I'm sure there's been many amazing turnarounds for people in their lives through kinesiology. What can you give us an example of one that really sticks in your memory as something that really shifted someone's experience in life?
Yeah, as I said, there's lots, but I think, I suppose, probably the early days, you know, when you didn't really know what you were doing, and you got a bit stuck, you know, and then it occurs to you to do a particular technique. And so I was working with somebody who had a, you know, pretty traumatic childhood, and I just remember, like, I actually did. I spoke to Brian Butler, because it was like, what do I do? It's like, she's so traumatized when she's, you know, in the clinic, and I'm trying to do things. And he said, well, you got to find where the energies got stuck. And we use this amazing little technique where, you know, it's like, there's so many different options, but it's like, where are they feeling, you know, that they can't move past? And so we use the acupuncture system for that. And it was just amazing, like, from pouring tears to changing how, like, it was like she just kind of woke up to present, you know. It was like she was no longer stuck in the past. And her face looked different. You could see the relief. And I suppose it was that point where I had an awe for it. It was like, you know, I didn't really do very much, but it was like I knew where to go. You know, the muscle testing directed me precisely to where she needed me to work with the system. And I think that was, you know, that kind of went, okay, there's something here. But then there's other clients who, you know, you get referrals and you never know that they're referring you because you help their hiatus hernia, you know, with one session, they don't come back. And then a few years later, they're there with, you know, with a family member. Oh, yes, you did that and it was amazing, you know, cleared. You know, it's one of those things that we just don't know the impact that we have, you know, a lot of the time. And I think that, you know, in some ways that's a good thing. We want to, you know, if we always are looking for validation from what our clients do, rather than going, you know, keeping present to the current client, I think that, we can just do our best with every client. Not every client we'll make the we'll make the changes that are sometimes needed, you know.
Yeah, you're staying in the fresh new moment with each person, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There are some courses coming up, and people who are watching this now are going to watch it on the replay. So if they're considering, which a lot of people are at the moment, considering shifts in career and moving into something else and being called, into, people are being really called to do different things in their lives. I wanted to ask you, first of all, the course that you're doing is foundational. So this is the very kind of beginner's course. It's happening in March. Is it going to run live, or how's it going to run? You have a backup plan if it doesn't run live.
We have a backup plan.
Yeah.
So last year we were quite lucky because our courses had literally started in March. So I remember coming back from Dublin, and we knew about COVID and things, but it was like we did a whole weekend, and it was like, okay, we'll see you in a couple of months. Our course has always been part online anyway. So we would do 2 live weekends and an 8-week online course in the middle. So the first weekend is very much about the practical. So our plan is that education is going to be back in end of February, early March. And so we are hoping that all our live courses will take place. But we do have a backup plan because over the last year, we've had lots of experience of teaching virtually.
Sure.
I'm teaching virtually tomorrow. We have breakout rooms in Zoom, and so therefore we can go in and see how are you practicing, and you've got somebody to work on in the house, and so yeah, I think where there's a will, there's a way, and we would never have believed. I recorded videos back in 2013, 2014, put the whole course online as a backup and as and enable people to do the course. I never imagined that I would be sitting here in my kitchen playing some of those videos as a demo alongside students live. So yeah, health has never been on the agenda like it has this past year. For many, it's been I suppose a wake-up call and an opportunity to find out what's important, and so yeah, our courses will be starting in March. And if there's some reason we can't get into the classroom, we are absolutely determined that we can continue and you can get this amazing information.
Brilliant. How long does the course go on for, Siobhan?
So usually the course is 3 months, balanced health course. The website is kinesiologyzone.com, so it'll be starting in March. You'll have the 8 weeks during rest of March and April into May, and then the second weekends will be in May. Last year our March courses got started, but we finally finished them in July. So we couldn't, there was no one to blame as such. It's like that we could just do our best. So our diploma then starts usually each year in June, and again, so last year it started in August. So it is what it is,
And people can go to the website, as you said, it's kinesiologyzone.com is the one where all the course details are on. I just want to ask you, people who do the course, what have you seen it lead to in their lives, just to give people an example of where people can go with this?
Oh gosh, people do the course for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes it's because they've been inspired by either they got back pain was resolved by a practitioner. They go, oh, I want to learn how to do this. I want to take more control of my own health, and so they go and do the balanced health course, the foundational training. And then they go, oh, I never thought about this could become a career for me, because, it's like simple, small things to, how do you help the body function better? And so many have gone on to either, completely change their careers, running full-time practices up and down the country. And we have others who only ever wanted to do it for their family and friends. And others for a supplementary income. So they might see a couple of clients, 2 or 3 days a week, that sort of thing. So it really has something for everyone. For me, you know, my main thing is the teaching. Love the teaching. Feel so like hard to, it's like hard to hug people on Zoom, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I run a clinic here in Westport. But you know, I suppose the learning never ends. You know, we have, like, I've gone on and learned other things, because, as I said, everything kind of comes in under, and everything merges really well with kinesiology, because it's not a clash with another therapy. It's you know, the more that you understand how the body works, and you can, you know, there's a way to, really, the kinesiology part is the testing part, and being able to find out what's going on with that person as opposed to what I think is going on. So it's yeah, interesting. We have teachers in the UK, you know, who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, still working away. It's very light on the practitioner's body. So yeah, retiring at 65 ain't going to happen.
Not anymore, no, not anymore. No. Thanks, Siobhan, for giving us all that information. That's great. And I've come across kinesiology a few times in my life, and I highly recommend it. It's led me to a lot of healing in my own personal life, so I highly recommend it. And if you want to improve in any way educationally, looks like Siobhan might be able to run these events live, which would be amazing in March. So do find out more, go to the website, folks, and thanks for tuning in today. Siobhan?
We have the taster on. So
taster. Yeah.
Taster, we have, so we're doing virtual tasters. So I'm doing the tech side, and then one of our local kinesiology zone course leaders. So we had a Donegal and a Derry taster, but we've got our Cork taster, which, you know, because it's virtual, everyone can attend.
Sure.
And normally in person it's 25, but it's only a tenner for our virtual. So if anybody does want to know more and see a demo, then that's available on the website too.
That's on 25th of Feb, is it, at 7:30 p.m. something like that?
Thursday the 25th at 7 p.m. Yeah, for about 90 minutes, an hour and a half.
7 p.m. for 90 minutes, and then you can kind of get a taste or find out and see, do you want to take it further. Exactly. That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you, Siobhan, and thank you, everybody at Positive Life. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time, folks. Cheers. Thanks, now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.